The Quran forbids interest in Surah Al-Baqarah verse 275, but today people can earn very good incomes this way, right? What is the wisdom of this ban?
First of all, you've got to think about what interest is. Interest is getting something out of nothing. That's effectively what it is. You know, we're not dealing with commodities here. You're not dealing with something which you're trading, which has intrinsic value. Interest effectively saying, okay, I'll give you 1 gold bar for 2 gold bars. You know, so it's using a disadvantage that one of the parties have, which is, let's say, for example, the lack of capital, in order to try and increase an advantage that they have. And this is a problem for many different reasons. Number one, it increases the distribution, which is referred to in economics as the Gini coefficient, like the distribution between rich and poor. It exacerbates that distribution. And the Quran says, حَتَّى لَا تَكُونَ دُولَةً بَيْنَ الْأَغْنِيَاءِ مِنْكُمْ, for example. It's mentioned that, so it doesn't become something which is money, doesn't become revolving around only the elites amongst you, in chapter 59 of the Quran. So and we know this from modern societies, like bankers have the most money, some of the most money in the entire economy because of this exploitative system. They're taking advantage of people in weaker positions. So that kind of thing is outlawed. Okay, that number one. Number two is, you can say that interest actually messes up demand and supply. Because what is demand and supply? Like, for example, if I say this phone here, what is its value? So we say the value, let's say $800. How do we know that? Because the price of a good goes up and down based on how much is demanded and how much is in supply. So if it's demanded very high but it's in low supply, then the price goes up. Very basic economics, which is known, by free market economic analysis, right? But if you put interest on this thing, it's manipulating and it's ruining the process of demand and supply. Because now you have an inflated price for this thing. If I say, I'll give you this plus interest, I'll sell this to you plus interest. So now we don't really know the value of this thing, because we're talking about, there's two kinds of value. Even Karl Marx mentioned, there is the intrinsic value of something, and then there is the market value of something. Well, I'm talking about market value. Interest messes up the market values of different commodities. So therefore it inflates prices. It inflates prices more than it should be inflated. So it leads to inflation. So interest leads to inflation. It leads to messing up of demand and supply, gives you the wrong kind of pricing, market prices for things. It's exploitative. It gives you something for nothing. In addition to all of that, if you think about interest, you could argue, and I would make the argument, that it actually contributes to boom and bust. Because if you look at the economies in West, for example, in America and England and all these kind of France and these kind of things, they have very high levels of economic growth, followed by very low levels of economic growth, of stagnation, and what they call even depression. They call it economic depression. Yeah, boom and bust. Why is this happening? Because it's not sustainable methods. If you look at 2008, when the crash happened, as a case study, it was to do with lending. It was to do with interest rates. It was to do with banks getting hungry and giving loans to people that they couldn't pay back because of the interest rates. That was a contributing factor, and because of that, the economy plunged. So everyone, including the rich people, suffered. But if they had controlled themselves and lent in a proper manner, in the Islamic-friendly manner, then boom and bust wouldn't be so unstable. There would be more of a flat line. Maybe, I'm not saying it would completely solve boom and bust, but I'm saying there'd be more stability in this regard. So people can decide to get rich quick and then get poor quicker, or they could decide to keep a more sustainable level. And I think interest, what it does, is the first option rather than the second. For all these reasons and more, interest rates could be said to be, a detriment to the economy and to the society and to the individual as well.